everyone, this is Cheryl McQueen, designer with Bello's Designs. Today we will be making a fun card using the Mideela the Dragon stamp. We will create a cave opening using a mask created in the shape of a cave opening. You can create your own shape, or I found a picture of a cave online that I thought was perfect for this shape, and that is what I used. Let's go ahead and look at the supplies, but before we do, I want to mention it looks like that we have a whole lot of colors here. You do not have to use as many colors as I have used. It's just that when I started creating this, I kind of got carried away and started using a whole lot of colors to create the cave and give it a lot of depth. So just use what you've got, but these are the colors that I've actually used for this particular card. So the first one that we will look at is the Chipped Sapphire, Salty Ocean, Speckled Egg, Pine Needles, Mowed Lawn, Black Soot, Aged Mahogany, Walnut Stain, Ground Espresso, and Hickory Smoke. For our stamping, I am going to be using the Ranger Archival ink today. This is a permanent acid-free ink that does a good job with the stamps. Also today, for our actual stamps, we're going to be using 3 Lavinia stamps. We'll be using the Mideela, the Small Dragon. It's LAV 557. We'll be using the Christmas Tree grouping. This one is LAV 021. And we will be using Icicles, LAV 089, to create our stalactites and stalagmites. We will also go ahead and use a gel pen, glitter. This will help us to make the effect of a little bit of glisten and like water on the stalactites and stalagmites. We'll also use an art marker, just in a brown color. We'll use a fine tip black pen. We'll use a spray bottle with water and paper towel. For our masking, we will use a small circle for our moon. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I've just found a picture of a cave that I really like the shape of the opening online. And so I just cut out the shape. We'll be using both the positive and the negative shape. For putting our card together, we will use the adhesive craft tape. You can use the Lavinia Multifarious card, A5. Cut it down to be 5.5 by 4 inches. Then we will use a white cardstock for creating our frame. That one I have cut to 5 3/4 by 4.5 inches. And then for my base, I've got a black cardstock that I used. It was cut to 9.5 by 6 and then folded in half. If you don't have any multifarious, sometimes I will also use just a mixed media type paper. I like this because it has a very smooth surface, so you can use that if you'd like as well. So now let's get started with our project. Let's begin our project by doing the cave first. So what we'll do is we will take our basic cardstock for our art, and we are going to take the mask and we're going to take the positive. We're going to take that and we're going to place it on top. I'm going to use some of the Sweet Poppy low tack tape to just kind of hold it in place for me so it doesn't wiggle while I'm working. So I'm just putting a few pieces on the back, and we'll stick that down for this portion of it. So we've got that down where we'd like for it to be. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to start taking our dark colors like our hickory smoke, our ground espresso, walnut stain, aged mahogany, and the black soot. So we're going to use those and just blend our colors all around. There's no right or wrong to this. Just do it until you're really pleased with the result that you've got. So I'm going to start out, I think, with the hickory smoke. And basically all I'm going to do is just start going in random places, going in circles. To get some of the hickory smoke down as a base for our cave. You don't want this to be smooth because it's rocks, so it doesn't have to be perfect and smooth. Just randomly put it down. There can be dark spots or light spots, really doesn't matter. All right. So now let's go ahead and move on to one of our brown colors. I'll tell you one thing I'm going to do is grab a little piece of paper because I will get fingerprints on it, so I can hold that down and keep from smudging my fingers all over it. So let's go ahead and go with the walnut stain. Get a little ink on my blending tool. And again, I'm just randomly putting it in places. All right, so let's go ahead and do some ground espresso. And as I said before, you don't have to use as many colors as I am, or if you want to use more, you're welcome to do that too. Just make it your own. As you're working on it, you'll see what you like and what you don't like. All right, now I'm going to do the aged mahogany. The aged mahogany just gives just a little bit of almost a rust kind of a color. So I like to just dab it randomly around. Just creates a little bit of interest there. Once again, just giving a little bit of variation. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some black soot. Just to give it a little bit of that dark, mysterious look. And then the final thing that I like to do, and this will be using our chipped sapphire, is I like to create just a little bit of a frame around the outer edge. This draws the eye to the middle and also gives it a little bit of a nice aged kind of look. So all I'm doing is just going around the edges. In a little circular motion. Just kind of creating just a little bit of a frame. Okay. Now, as we did on this one, I kind of like the looks of the spots that kind of, I don't know, make it look almost like it's magical in the cave. And the way that we create that is by taking our distress sprayer and a piece of paper towel. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spritz just a little bit. Take my paper towel and dab up. I'm going to try and do a little bit less mist and a little more drops that are a little bigger. And that creates a little bit of a look of mystical magic there. And if you were to feel that that was too light, you can always go back with your brownish color. Just lightly go over it, and so that will mute the colors of the little mystical spots. Alright, so now I think the outside of our cave part is done, so we will just lift off our mask, which now leaves the outside that you're seeing from the inside of the cave. So we will go ahead and now work with our outside through the cave. Get the scene outside. Probably the best thing to do is go ahead and just take a little piece of either painter's tape or the masking tape and just put it behind so that your card doesn't wiggle around while you're doing this particular portion. And you will line that up. And I would go ahead and take down your mask as well so that it doesn't wiggle. And we're ready to do our outside scene. So I'm going to start out with the speckled egg, and the reason I'm doing that is I just want a little bit of light portions in the sky, so I'm just going to take that and make that my base. The first thing though, let's go ahead, because we do want to have the designation between our ground and our sky. I'm going to go ahead and take, let's see, I've got some masks here that I kind of cut out. And we're going to create some mountains back behind there. And I'll also go ahead and tape this down just to make sure that it doesn't wiggle. Alright, so our sky is up here and our grounding will be back here. So we'll start out with the speckled egg. And literally just dab it around. Like I said, I just want to have a little bit of a light in the background. And again, don't worry about doing solid because the sky is not just solid color. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my moon mask down, because I like for it to have that light color. I'm going to use just a tiny little bit again of the painter's tape. And then put my moon mask down. My tape's not behaving. There we go. Touch that color up just a little bit. Put my moon mask down, which it does not want to stick. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and go with my Salty Ocean. And just put some brightness in there. I'm not necessarily going to do the whole area again, so that I have a few of those lighter colors showing that lighter color, the speckled egg showing up a little bit in the background there. Alright, and then finally I'm going to go with the Chipped Sapphire and create just a little bit of mood with it. So I'm going to just kind of do a little darker around the base, the opening of the cave there. And just a little bit up the top to kind of create a little bit of mood. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and remove my mask. Oh, no, I take that back. I take that back. I'm going to put that back on there. I want to go ahead and do an aura. And I think with that, I am going to use just a little bit smaller dauber. I like these little daubers because I can do smaller spaces with them. So I'm going to take that, start by in the middle of the moon mask and just flick out around the edges. Oops, and take off my moon mask, and there we've got the moon. I'm going to smooth out just a little bit in the middle, just a little more color there. And then we will create some clouds going across the moon. And with that, I have torn another little piece of paper. And that's just basically just tearing it in whatever it turns out to look like. Lay that across. Go ahead and take Chipped Sapphire again. And just flick up across the top of your mask. So that we create the look of clouds going across the sky and the moon. Alright, so now we are ready to move on to the landscaping portion of our cave opening. For the ground portion of our cave opening, we're going to go ahead and remove our mask that designates the area between the sky and the ground. So what I want to do, as you can see in my example, I kind of want to go ahead and keep the tops of it white so it looks a little bit like the tops of the mountains are snowy. So I'm just going to take my mowed lawn and just put a little bit down there, leaving the tops to be white. And that just gives a little bit of a background for our greens. Then I'm going to take my mask again. That looks a little bit like mountains. So we'll take this. We can remove the tape from it now. And we'll just add a few little mountain ranges with our darker, the pine needles color. And actually, I think what I want to do is turn it upside down so that our darker green actually looks like it's at the top of our little mountain ranges. As you can see, I use scrap paper whenever I create these types of things, just because I don't want to waste paper that I've already printed out for other things. So just reuse and recycle. And maybe one little touch of mountain right there. All right, so now we've got our mountain range inside of our mask. So at this point, we are ready to go ahead and start stamping. So I'm going to remove my mask. But before we do that, you know what I think I'm going to do? The process that we just did for making the clouds, I'm going to go ahead and do that in the cave as well, because you know rocks have that a little bit of that texture. So I'm going to go ahead and take the black soot, and let's see, I think that's my black soot dauber there. And I'm just going to do that same process that we did for making the clouds, but do it randomly across some of my cave areas, just to kind of give a little bit of a look there of the different texture in the cave wall. I hope you can see that effect with the on the camera. There we go. And take this up off of the, see if you can see that. That gives it a little bit of a texture. Now, as you notice, I have a little bit of a white edge around the cave opening. I actually kind of like that look. I did that on purpose. You can see I kind of did it on the example as well. I just think it kind of gives it that little bit of a light glow around the edge of the cave opening. If you don't like it, you can always tone it down just a little bit, just by going and putting a little bit of color over it. I like it though. I think it looks really neat. Okay, so now that we are ready to begin doing our stamping, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my stamping platform. I am going to move these out of the way real quick. And we will mount our card onto our stamping platform. I have got a sticky grid sheet here so that I don't have to use magnets. That makes it a lot nicer that I don't have to worry about moving magnets around. Alright, Alright, so first let's start with putting Mideela in where we want him to be. Now, because he's going to be outside the cave, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on so that the tail will be outside of the cave, because Mideela is coming home. Alright, so now we will ink up our stamp. I like using the stamping platform when I've got more solid stamps, because in case I don't get a good crisp clean image, the stamping platform allows me to make a second impression if I need to. Alright, we'll close it and we'll press down to make sure that the stamp, the entire surface of the stamp touches our paper. Hold it for just a moment so that the ink can be absorbed. Might put a little more pressure down closer to where the mask is. I cut mine out of cardstock, and so sometimes it leaves a lifted up spot, a little blank space in between. Oh, we got a really good impression that first time. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the trees. So we will take our tree stamp, and so what we're wanting is to look like there are some trees outside the cave that we really can't. Let's see, where do we want that? How about right there? Alright, so we'll do the same thing. Again, I'm keeping the mask on it so that we can, oops, I messed that up. I lifted it back up and I shouldn't have. Alright, try again. There we go. So we don't want the trees to be inside the cave, so that's why I've still got the mask back down. Good pressure. Again, you may have to put a little extra when you've got a mask down there, especially one that's got a little bit of thickness to it, like the cardstock, so we can hopefully get it to be an impression all the way to the edge. If not, we'll just use our black pen to fill in a little bit. Alright, let's see how this one went. Yeah, see, you can see where it didn't quite get all of it on there, so we will try again. And like I said, it really doesn't matter because we can color in a little bit with our black pen if we'd like to. Another option, I suppose, would be to go ahead and just use regular paper. You just have to be very careful when you use a mask out of regular copy paper because it's easy to mess up the edges. Not quite as sturdy. So I'm going to really press hard and see if I can get it to make contact just a little bit further down. Next time I may just use a paper mask and be very careful. That's okay, I kind of like that look. We'll play with that here in just a moment. And let's put just a few more trees kind of over here. All right. I am going to go ahead really quick and clean off my two stamps with a little piece of baby wipe. Your stamp still will get stained up, but this helps keep it from getting built up. And the same thing with my dragon. Wipe him up real quick. All right. So now we are ready to go ahead and remove our mask of the cave. If you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, do a little bit of coloring in here on your trees to get them closer down to the mouth of your cave. Just take your black pen and fill in. All right. Now, I also like to outline my cave just a little bit. Sorry about that. I got that down just a little bit low there for you to see what I was doing. That was just basically coloring in here to get my trees down closer to where the base of the cave opening is, so it looks like they're outside. Then I also like to just go around the edge of the cave, and I don't want the line to be smooth because we want it to look like it's kind of rocky. So just take your black fine point pen and just trace around a little bit. And don't make the lines move smooth and even unless you want that look. But I don't mind having it be a little bit off because that, again, like I said, looks like it's the edge of the rocks that are kind of jaggedy. Make this your own. Any art that you do, this example, these tutorials are just examples. So do what you want to do. Whatever look you're looking for will be great. All right. So that just gives a little bit more definition for our cave opening. Our final stamp is the Icicle Stamp. It's actually, we'll be making our stalactites and stalagmites. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get a little piece of paper here and cut it down so that I can have my stamp overlap and not get on my sticky grid paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these stalactites and stalagmites in place. Oops, I just lifted that up. Didn't get it stuck down well enough, so we'll try that again. Get it stuck there. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to randomly put in the stalactites and the stalagmites. Just wherever I feel like it should be placed on there. Since this will take a while, in just a moment, I am actually going to stop the camera and finish doing this part so that you don't have to watch the whole time, because it does take a few minutes to do that. So I will finish it up and show you that, and show you what I'm doing. So there will be across the bottom and across the top. Also, while I'm gone, I'm going to take my brown marker pen and go ahead and color in my stalagmites and my stalactites, because I want them to show up just a little bit darker than the background. So I'll be coloring all of the ones that I stamp. And then when I'm done with that portion of it, I will take my Jelly Roll pen, the glitter pen, and I will outline the stalactites and the stalagmites in the glitter, and then put just a few lines across the center of them to kind of give the effect of, you know, I mean, a cave is damp, so by putting this on, it looks like there's moisture or water on the stalactites and the stalagmites. And it's kind of hard to see the glitter, but I will show that to you when I get done. So I will be back in just a minute after I finish putting the rest of the stalactites and stalagmites on and coloring them. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished putting in the stalactites and the stalagmites, and then I finished by taking my art pen, the brown one, and just coloring in the stalactites and stalagmites, makes them stand out a little bit against the background of the cave. And then I took the glitter jelly pen and outlined and kind of colored in the stalactites and stalagmites to give them that look of wetness. I think you can see that there. So with that, we are now ready to go ahead and put our card together. So we will take our frame piece and our card background piece. We will turn over our finished artwork and get our adhesive running tape. And I just run it around the edges. You can always put some in the center if you'd like it to be a little bit more secure, but I've always found that it works pretty well just on the edges. And we want to, oops, just line it up, kind of center it in the middle. And stick it down like that so that we've got it nice and framed. Then we will take our base card piece and do the same thing. I'm actually going to grab a little white piece of paper so that I can distinguish it from my glass here, so I can get a little more visual effect on where I need to place it when I stick it down. Alright, so now we've got the adhesive on that, and we will center it. And I'm going to, my head may get in the way here, but I need to make sure I'm getting this centered. There we go. And now our card is done. Thank you so much for watching my video tutorial today. I hope you have fun creating this card. It's a little different and kind of a unique, fun thing to do. Be sure to check out the delbellosdesigns.com website for more tutorials on the design team page. And take a look around the site. All of these stamps are on the delbellos.com site, as well as many other wonderful fun stamps to use. I look forward to seeing you in the next video tutorial.